Hey visionaries, Butch Hartman here. Welcome to Vision Possible. I love that title. Vision Possible. That means your vision is absolutely possible, but do you believe that? Do you believe your vision is possible? I'm serious. I hope you do, because it absolutely is. You are a creative person. You're extremely smart. You're very, very tough. You've probably been through a ton of stuff already. I know it hasn't been easy. Guys, let me just explain something. Nothing in life that is worth growing and building is easy. First of all, the key word is building. Building something takes time. It takes a vision of what it's going to be. Then it takes plans on how it's going to look. Design. What are we going to look? What will it look like? Now, once it's designed, how do we build this thing? It's got to become a three-dimensional design. If you're going to build a building, it goes from being a two-dimensional drawing to a three-dimensional drawing. Okay, then this girder has to go here to this this bearing wall, and now we need a foundation, and we need how many parking spaces, how many stories, where's the bathroom, where's the kitchen, where's the office. It's guys, the planning that goes into creating anything huge is just monumental. It takes seconds to destroy. Anyone can destroy something. You can destroy someone's career. If the person's not strong, their career can get destroyed in a matter of seconds. But if they're strong and they fight, it can stay. You know what I mean? We live in an age right now where everyone's trying to cancel everybody. It's called cancel culture, and it's sad and it's tragic. I've seen some very good people lose some things over these last couple of years, and it's unfortunate because I know the people, and it didn't have to happen that way. I don't know why it happened, and it certainly isn't my business to go into personal things, but there's been some people that have gone through some stuff that I felt was unnecessary, simply because things were either taken out of context or the person didn't explain things right. I don't know what it was, but if you're up against it with people trying to come against you and maybe be what's called a dream squasher and tell you that your dream isn't worthwhile, or you really don't deserve this, you're barking up the wrong tree, you'll never amount to anything, those type of people, you need to get those people out of your life. Well, they're my friends. No, they're not your friends. If they're being negative toward your vision, they are not your friend. If they're being negative toward your dream, they're not a friend. Now, if your dream is something crazy, like you want to go skydive off the edge of the Grand Canyon without a parachute and they're trying to talk you out of it, that's a different story. But if your dream's a legitimate dream, you want to build a company or I don't know, whatever it is, if they're standing against it simply because they're either jealous or they are lacking in confidence themselves, that's not fair. And I don't want you guys to go through that. I really don't. So today's title for this message today is why hasn't it happened yet? Why hasn't it happened yet? Why hasn't my dream of being a multimillionaire film producer happened yet? Why hasn't my dream of being the world's greatest ballerina happened yet? Why hasn't my dream of being a cartoon creator happened yet? Why hasn't my dream of being a solo musician packing stadiums happened yet? Why hasn't my song gone number one? Why am I not a million selling author yet? Why hasn't it happened yet? A good question. I'm not, by the way, just because it hasn't happened yet, we have to start defining a few things. For example, what is it? What is the it you're talking about? Have you even defined what it is? Have you defined what your it is? That's kind of a weird question, I know, but what is your it? I want to be a musician. Okay, cool. What kind? I just want to be a musician. What do you do? Well, I play piano. Great. What kind of piano? Well, I just play piano. Do you play swing? Do you play ragtime? Do you play worship music? Do you play rock and roll? Do you play jazz? What do you specialize in? Well, I play a little bit of everything. Well, a little bit of everything means you're playing for a little bit of nobody. Because if you're not honed in on what it is you want to do, you're never going to figure out. I mean, I'll tell you why it hasn't happened yet, because you can't even figure out what it is you want to do. Why hasn't it happened yet means you have not figured out what it is. Very recently, I was talking to someone about the app TikTok. I don't know if you guys are on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. And I'm just so excited because I've got about 1.1 million followers on there. It's so exciting to be on there, because people say, oh, TikTok's a young person's app. I could never possibly make a go of it on TikTok. Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people my age. I'm in my mid-50s. A lot of people my age on TikTok doing things about their animals and about the crafts and the arts that they do and the music they write, the way they sing. I mean, I see people on there all the time talking about things that they would never have a platform for unless they were on TikTok. And they built up a huge following now. It's just so awesome. But what I learned about TikTok, though, I guess I'm talking about this, is because in order to succeed on TikTok, you've got to really niche down your target audience. You got to really figure out who your audience is and who you're going for. Like, you can't just post about fitness one day and then about music the next day and then about sailing ships the next day and then about zebras the next day. Because if you're doing that, you're not really focusing on one niche audience. There's one guy I watch on TikTok. He's so funny. He just does Cajun cooking. That's all he does. Cajun cooking. There's one guy on TikTok. All he does is talk about his dog. And he has voices for the dogs. It's so funny that he does. I focus on animation and drawing and cartoons. And that's what I focus on. And other people focus on other things. But the reason people's accounts begin to grow and expand is because they found their audience. They found their niche. It might take you a while to figure out what your niche is and see what people are responding to. But again, it takes a little bit of effort. It's like anything. What's the audience? What are they looking for? How do I find my favorite audience here? There's one guy who just reacts to things angrily. He's called Angry Reactions. He's so funny. And he's always got an angry look on his face, but he speaks very positively. It's really funny. He's got like 14 million followers. This guy's got to be like 25 years old. Crazy. Imagine the influence and the reach he has with 14 million followers. Do you think that if he had a book he wanted to sell, he might sell a few if he just put a link on his TikTok with 14 million people looking at it? I think so. So that's why I'm encouraging you guys to figure out what is your it? What is it? Why hasn't it happened yet? I'm just lingering here for a second. Why hasn't it happened yet? Well, okay, how about this? Well, I'm too old to do this. I don't think you're too old at all. If you want to be in the entertainment industry, but you're a little older, that's fine. You can totally get in the entertainment industry. There's nothing holding you back. But let's look at where you are and where you have to go. As an older person, there's a lot more hoops you're going to have to jump through, because you've already learned so much about other things to rethink, to recalculate your thoughts and go into the entertainment industry. Let's say you are a car mechanic, but you've always wanted to be a film producer, right? You've got all this knowledge about working on cars and suddenly you want to be a film producer. Well, that's going to be a whole different mindset, a whole different way of learning. But you could do a movie about cars because you know about cars, right? All you got to do is get a film crew now and film something about cars. And that takes funding. You got to find funding. But you know what? There's all kinds. It depends on what you want to do. You want to do movies about cars, or do you want to blow the cars off and do just movies about, whatever it is? You need to figure that out. You need to figure out what your it is. Why hasn't it happened yet? Do you even know what your goal is? Have you written down your goal yet? I tell you this all the time. Write down your goal. Write down the vision. Make it plain on tablets. It says that in the Bible in the book of Habakkuk, not tobacco or Habakkuk. No, it's I almost said it wrong. Habakkuk. It's in the Old Testament. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 says, write down the vision and make it plain on tablets so that he may run who reads it. What's cool about that is when you write it down, the person who reads it can run with it. Oh, got it. I understand. Off they go. When you don't write it down, when you're trying to figure something out or trying to explain something to somebody, it's very vague and very, very ethereal and not very pinned down. It's very hard to explain to people, and it takes time to figure it out. And people can't run with it at that point because they don't have a clear idea of what it is you're looking for. And that's the trickiest part, But your best efforts are spent on figuring out your it. So why hasn't it happened yet? I'm going to keep repeating this. Let me ask you this. Do you have the machine in place to make it happen? I want to be an author. I want to write a best-selling novel. Great. How many days a week do you spend writing? Well, I don't have a lot of time. I write when I can. Well, then you're going to have a long time waiting to sell a novel, because writing a novel, it's got to be 200 to 300 pages at least. and it's got to make sense, and someone's got to want to buy that story. And if you think you're writing a novel, and that's hard, I guarantee you there's about 80,000 other people out there right now trying to write a novel. It's a very, everything you're trying to get into is very competitive. Let's just make that clear from the get-go here. It is very competitive out there. And we want to give you guys an edge over the competition, which is why we're doing these videos on Vision Possible. I don't have to be doing these videos at all. I mean, I could just be sitting here doing what I do and making a living at it. But I want to encourage you guys, and I want to give you tools to work with. So like, let's say, why hasn't it happened yet? Let's say you do have a great idea for a cartoon show. Great. Do you have any artwork? Because the people you're pitching the show to need to see artwork. Great. Got the artwork. Do you have any written material? Have you written it down? Have you written down what the characters are? Or who the characters are? Have you written down what the story is? Have you written down what the premise of the show is? And by the way, is the premise of your show more than just this? 3 kids and their dog get into great adventures. What does that mean? It's very vague. It's a very, very vague description, But if you hone it down to this, 4 kids have their dog and they get into ghost adventures by solving mysteries with ghosts constantly bothering them. That's like, Scooby-Doo. I just niched it down. I made it very, very specific. All these shows and all these cartoons I have behind me. I got Superman, I got Mickey Mouse, I got Wolverine from the X-Men over here. I've got Fairly Odd Parents back there. I've got, a bunch of other things you can't see over. But each one of these characters comes from a story that somebody thought of. Someone wrote it down, someone conceived it, someone made a presentation for it, someone got into the right room where somebody was with money who said, yes, we'll make this, here's some money for it. By the way, here's where you can put it. Those moments in your life, they can be very, I don't want to discourage you by saying this, they are few and far between, but they can be more than few if you're working hard at it. Because like I said, you've got to somehow claw your way through the competition and get your project on a desk before somebody else does. And if you're living, if you want to get in, this is strictly for entertainment people. If you're living in Kentucky and you want to work in Hollywood, guess what? You've got to move to Hollywood. It's very hard to be in Kentucky and work in Hollywood. Same goes. If you're in California, Hollywood, and want to work in Kentucky, you've got to go there. I mean, and yes, there are things you can do online. I'm not saying you can't do them online. In fact, I'm sure you can sell entire shows online now. You can do entire, movie orchestrations online. But it really, yes, that is true. You can do all that. But there are still going to be a great many moments in your life where you have to be face-to-face in person with people to make those things happen. And you've got to get out of your comfort zone. You've got to learn that, why hasn't it happened yet? It might be because of you. I go back to the Bible again. There's a great scripture, and everybody knows this. We reap what we sow. As a man sows, that he shall also reap. Sowing like S-O-W, planting. You're only going to grow what you plant. You're only going to be able to reap a harvest of corn if you plant a whole bunch of corn. But if planting time comes around and you're lazy and don't plant anything, come harvest time, you're not going to harvest anything. You cannot get what you don't plant. And so if you're putting effort out there, if you're out there meeting people, if you're out there, going out there, meeting the players, if you're going to workshops, if you're going to classes, if you're buying books about who's successful here in your chosen profession, reading about how certain people got to where they are, if you make an effort to go to a conference or two. I just came back from a conference a few weeks ago where it was called an Increase Conference. Just the title alone, the Increase Conference, not the Decrease Conference. I wouldn't go to a Decrease Conference. I want to increase. I want to take 2 and make it into 4, take 4, make it into 8, So I had to buy a ticket to this place where this conference was. It was in Hawaii, by the way. So it was in a beautiful location. Got to go to Hawaii, to this beautiful hotel, and go to this conference every day and learn about who's doing what and how they're doing it and how you can do it too. And just being in an atmosphere like that, do you think that'd be beneficial or not? It's very beneficial. So what I'm saying is, things are going to happen for me simply because I'm putting myself in an atmosphere to make them happen. I'm going to those conferences. I'm going to those places where successful people are. And by the way, once the conference is over, my relationship with those people doesn't cease. In fact, we have dinners afterwards. We have lunches. I stay on the phone with them. I call them. Hey, I got a question about this real estate situation. I've never really done real estate to any great degree, but these people have. And I'm calling them asking. They've never done cartoons, but they want to. So guess who they're calling? They're calling me. So it's that type of thing. You build this network of people that can help you, and you can help them. And you're going to reap what you sow. If you pour a lot in, you're going to get it back. I always say to people, if you don't like what you're getting out of your career, take a look at what you've been giving it. Are you working at it every day? Nah, it's too hard. I can't write a screenplay. Do you want to write a screenplay? Well, I'd love to write a screenplay. How often do you work on it? Nah, it's just so hard. I don't get to work. I work on it for 3 or 4 hours a month. Well, then you're going to get 3 or 4 hours a month back, and it's not going to be very much. But if you write a screenplay a month, or if you write if you do 100 drawings a week, you're going to really start building up your skill set. If you write 10 songs a week, the Beatles, Paul McCartney and John Lennon, used to write hundreds of songs together. And obviously, I think it paid off for them. Are there other songwriting teams out there that things haven't gone well for? Oh, absolutely. I don't know why. Maybe they stopped writing. Maybe they got discouraged. Maybe one of them left the group. I don't know. I have no clue why. But all you need to worry about is you. What can you do right now after you watch this video? What can you do right now to move your career forward? Who can you call? What can you do? What book can you buy? What materials do you need? What meeting do you have to get? Don't look at it like, I can't get that meeting. Look at it, how do I get that meeting? Successful people never say, I can't afford that. They say, how can I afford that? How can I do this? My wife and I have done a few things where, things were a little bit out of our range for a second. We're like, wait, I don't think we can do that. We've never done this before. Well, let's figure out, number one, how we can do it. Number two, how we get the resources in place to do it. I'm telling you guys, it is a joy and it is a blast to finally see it come through and to see that project finished. You can check that box and go, wow, I did that, So why hasn't it happened yet? Why hasn't it happened yet? Why hasn't that career taken off yet? Well, maybe because you're just not ready yet. Maybe because you still need a bit more time in the oven. What I mean by that is a couple more years of school. But do me a favor. Don't be a person who goes to school for 90 years. There's time for school, yes. But then when school is over, it's time to get out in the world and begin to make a living. You can only stay in school I was speaking to someone recently. They're out of school, technically, but they want to go back for, a graduate's program or a master's or whatever. And that's all great. If you want to get all those degrees, that's a wonderful thing to do. But but while you're getting those degrees, there's people in the world that are working their way up in your chosen field because you're not there yet. So if you feel confident enough that you've got the knowledge and you've got the talent and you've got what it takes, get out there into the world and give it a shot. And yeah, you're gonna have some moments where it's not the easiest in the world. And by the way, if the degree makes it easier, great, go for the degree. But if once you have the degree, it's going to be just as competitive with or without the degree, look into that. Look into why you're spending all this time in school. Maybe school was good for you for a while, but maybe it's time to get out of school and get out there into the working world. So I'm just saying, you can go to school if you want. Either way is fine. I went to school. It was good for 3 years. And after 3 years, I was done because I needed to get out into my chosen field because there were people making money and I was still spending money on school, getting more into debt. That was my problem. So I encourage you to look into those options that you have in front of you. So why hasn't it happened yet? There's probably a bunch of reasons, but I'll tell you one reason. If you're moving forward, I want to leave you with something very, very positive. If you're moving forward in your chosen field, if you're working your tail off and doing everything you can to make this happen, and you're trying here and failing here and trying here and failing here, but at least if you're trying, the failure is not a failure. It's experience. You're experiencing what it takes to make it to where you want to go. And that's why I'm proud of you. That's why you're a visionary. That's why you watch Vision Possible, because you're a visionary that wants to go for it with every ounce of your being, because you've only got one shot at this. I mean, you got several shots, but you've only got one life. Your life is going to be a series of experiences. They're going to lead you to the goal that you want to get to, you know? And if you, I tell you guys, as someone who's a living example of it, if you are going for it every day, working hard every day, and there's times for rest. Yes, there are. I'm not saying not to rest. You can definitely rest. But if you're constantly moving on that goal and you're going for it with everything you got and not giving up, that's the key thing. 3 words, don't give up. Say it with me. Don't give up. I'll wait. Boom. Don't give up. Man, you're going to go to heights you never imagined. Why hasn't it happened yet? Don't worry. It will. It's going to happen. You just need to keep moving forward and making it happen. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube and XOTV. We're on both platforms, so check us out on both. And I'm just so glad you guys are here. It's an honor to share these thoughts with you. And if you want to get a hold of me, check me out on Instagram at Butch Hartman. You want to get a hold of me, email me. It's askbutchhartman@gmail.com. And you can find me on TikTok as well. All right. Have a great, great rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever it is. And don't forget